So, how is everyone? I hope you're all well. Now, a little bit of a disclaimer in this video. First of all, a bit of a trigger warning, because there'll be some information in here that some may find disturbing. And secondly, this is an account that was sent to me. Now, I haven't had chance to find out whether this guy would like to be credited for sending me this information. But if he does, then I will pin his details in the pinned comment on the video once I've confirmed that. But this is an account from what is supposed to be two people who were at the property when the 911 call was made. Now, some people are likely to have seen this. Some people will not have. But it's important to understand that we don't know whether the account that they state is true, but it seems that this was in defense of some comments that were made about the surviving people who were in the property. I feel that they are attacked on another social media platform, and these people felt the need to jump in and defend them. So without further ado, we'll get into the meat and potatoes and we'll go to it. But I just thought, before I do that, check this out. So we've got dog cam. That's dog cam. How cool is that? So through the video, if he does anything, we can pretty much double check and make sure that he's okay. Can't we, dog? I think he actually knows he's on camera. I think he does actually know, staring at it. Look. What I might do is strap a GoPro to his head, so when we do videos, we can strap a GoPro and watch him wander about. But that's Milo. Hello, Milo. So, anyway, right. This is... I won't put it up on screen. I could share the screen, but I don't want to because it's got details on there of people who obviously don't want to put their information on. So I'm going to read it, okay? And a little bit of the context, if you like. So let me just see where the best place is to start. Right, two people who claimed to be at the house with the roommates when the bodies were discovered quickly came to the surviving roommate's defense and wrote that the roommates woke up, went upstairs to the kitchen and noticed the sliding glass door was open, and it was during that time they discovered Ethan. They didn't say where he was found on that floor, but it was so horrific that both girls went into shock and ran out of the house. One of the roommates fainted, and the other was beyond hysterical and not making any sense. Their frantic actions while coming out of the house caught the attention of people walking past. The people responding on the victim's IG claimed to be two of those people. They implied that the roommate who fainted had already dialed 911, but was so distraught that she fainted before she could give any info that the dispatcher could understand. The info that the bystander who picked up the roommate's phone could give the 911 dispatcher was she just saw her friend run out of the house and faint. So that obviously clarifies why the call to 911 stated that someone was unconscious, not that someone, that was something that a lot of people had queried before. So that's how the 911 call was made on the roommate's phone and by someone else, and why the call went out for an unconscious person. While that bystander was on the phone with 911, the other roommate was hysterically trying to explain that something was wrong with Ethan. By this point, several more people had stopped to see what was happening, and one or two of them went into the house to see if they could help him. There were multiple people in the yard at that time, and those people began contacting their friends that someone in the house was badly hurt. Someone called Ethan's brother Hunter to tell him something was wrong with his brother because he lived close to the house, and someone called one of the other victims' boyfriends as he was also Ethan's best friend. They didn't go into detail on if either of those boys had arrived before the paramedics did, but it did kind of sound like they did. They didn't go into detail on what kind of injuries Ethan suffered. They also didn't say if anyone went to check on the other roommates before the paramedics arrived, but it's somewhat implied that someone had. The only details they gave about the scene itself was that it was incomprehensibly bloody. While those people were in the house checking on Ethan and possibly the other roommates, the paramedics arrived to a very chaotic scene, believing they were to assess an unconscious person outside, but they were redirected to go inside to help someone who was hurt very badly. So they walked into the house unaware that it was a crime scene and contaminated most of everything on the second floor. It doesn't sound like the roommates were roaming throughout the house carelessly, contaminating everything, fully aware that their friends had been murdered. It sounds like the scene was contaminated by numerous people who were trying to help, unaware and unable to comprehend what they were looking at, and that it was a crime scene. And they go on to say, "My heart breaks for these two poor innocent young females. Not only have they experienced a trauma so brutal that it can't be changed, trauma so brutal that it can't not change who they are at their core, but they will have to live with the fear that someone might be coming for them. And they grieve of loss, 4 friends, plus a life that they once had that will never exist again. And if that wasn't traumatizing enough, they also get to live with millions of people publicly criticizing, persecuting, and incorrectly judging them for actions people assume they may or may not have taken." Some of the comments left on the IG pictures of the victims, especially the ones the survivors were tagged in, were beyond nasty, if not right down cruel. I don't understand how our society became so inhumane. It sounds like the 2 surviving roommates' behaviours were 100% appropriate for the situation they found themselves in. And I agree, like I said, this all alleged, but I think it explains a lot. I'm marking this as information rather than theory, because I'm not making a theory myself. I'm just relaying information given by the individuals who were there when the call was made. And look, that information, it answers a lot of questions. You know, one of the biggest questions that we had surrounding the call was the fact that, look, we asked who had made the call. If the call was made on the surviving girls' phones, but not by them, then who made it? Well, that kind of answers that, and it answers it fairly well. And I agree that it makes complete sense. It does make complete sense. Also, the scene, it answers the question about why it was an unconscious person, and that was kind of that confusion over, hold on, why were they saying they were unconscious if there was blood everywhere? So that was referencing the girl who had found the scene. So I believe this is credible. I do genuinely believe it's credible. Let me know what you guys think. Once again, this was sent to me. I thank that person very much for sending me this. I hadn't seen it prior to receiving this. But yeah, I do believe this is credible information. I could be completely wrong, but to me, it makes complete and utter sense. And let's have a look and see how the dog's holding up. And it seems that my story has sent him to sleep. So, there we have it. This is video 1 of 2 today. So, if you don't get notifications, do check. Because